Hello everyone, and today we're talking about picking a commander for your new commander deck. Now, this doesn't matter whether you're a new player and you're getting into Magic for the first time, or if you're a seasoned veteran Magic player and you've just been playing 1v1 and now you're joining us in the world of multiplayer. So, either way, you want to pick a commander. I'm just going to go through this process, show you how easy it can be, and help you guys get your first fun commander picked ready for a game. So, let's do this. So we're going to start off by talking about colours, like the Magic the Gathering, the colours. Now, if you're a seasoned player and you've been playing for a little while, you probably know what all the colours do and the stereotypes for all the colours, so you can probably skip along to the next section. But for those new guys, this is what the colours do. I'm just going to keep this short, sharp and brief because we're talking generic here. There is plenty of colours or cards that break their colour identity. So starting off, let's just do white. So white represents order, morality, and justice, and it focuses on predominantly protecting its creatures, gaining life, enforcing rules. You know, it excels with lots of small creatures, it has enchantments, and it has controlling elements to it. The main keywords that we see within white are things like lifelink, vigilance, flying, and then combat abilities like first strike. So a lot of you can attack but also defend, you gain life when you deal damage, and also your form of evasion is flying, so you can get over the top of your opponents. A lot of your creatures will be small, but they will synergize and work together. So there'll be lots of cards that when you play another small creature, you gain a benefit. When three or more of your creatures, small creatures, all attack together, they gain a benefit from doing so. And that's how white plays. So it's like a community of people all banding together to build a force that is stronger together. They don't really have a single, you play this one creature and just attack with it solo. Like, you can do that, don't get me wrong. But in general, white as a colour is working together in harmony with all of its other cards to become an overwhelming force. Next up, we have blue. So blue represents intellect, manipulation, and control. Blue is mostly known, I guess, for its counterspell, literally the card name counterspell, and its card drawing abilities. It controls the games through its spells, its tempo plays. So rather than destroying or removing creatures permanently from the battlefield, you might bounce them back to your hand to give you a temporary advancement. So a lot of the keywords that we see within blue cards are things like we'll see more flying. So that's your form of evasion. We'll see lots of card draw. We'll see spells that counter things, counter abilities. You can play a lot at instant speed, so creatures might have flash as well as more instant spells and sorcery spells. And then we also have a sprinkling of scrying in there. So that's like representing the knowledge part of the blue colour, where you can look at the top card of your library. So those are the kind of the key things about blue, and we can start to see from white and blue so far together how they could be quite a controlling aspect when put together. So, but we'll go more about ally colours and enemy colours further down the line. So, but yeah, so that's blue. So after blue we have black. Black represents ambition and power and the desire to do anything no matter the cost. Like black will literally sack everything to get its goals. Like destroy your entire board to deal a load of damage to your opponents, you know, lose a load of life to draw a load of cards. It's really good at killing things, as in destroy, the destroy effect, not exile, destroy. So it has cards like murder and like fatal push and all those other things, cut down. Like, it's really quite cutthroat names and stuff that black has. It's all about destroying stuff, but it also has like a lot of reanimation, so it might deal a lot with your graveyard. So a lot of the keywords we see in black are lifelink, death touch. So that's when damage is dealt to a creature or destroy it. This pairs really nicely with trample. We have menace, which is your form of evasion in black rather than flying. You have when an opponent loses life triggers, and then you have things to reanimate, or maybe you have regenerate on a card, those type of effects. So yeah, black seems like it can do quite a lot, especially because it can interact with graveyard, quite a lot of utility, but it does fall short in some other areas, but we'll get more onto that specifics when we start looking at cards. Red, representing chaos, emotion, love, passion, impulse. Like you're doing it and you're doing it in the moment and you're just going for it. It focuses on direct damage. It has to go fast. You've got creatures with haste that just get in there and do things so quickly and don't care about the outcome of what might happen from that. we also have like unpredictable effects like chaos warping stuff and things like that. So you can snowball ahead really quite quickly, but then red often lacks sustainability. So when building red decks, you have to be really careful about that. So a lot of the keywords and things you'll see in red cards is things like haste. You'll also see trample. You'll also get that aggressive like first strike, double strike type of keywords on cards. And then obviously they do a lot of direct damage, which is obviously mono red burn type effects like your lightning bolts, your shocks, and all things like that. So green is our last colour, but definitely not the least colour by any means. Green represents nature, growth, instinct, doing things in the world in the natural order of things. It's all about big green creatures like mono green Stompy. We're going to ramp hard, get more lands onto the battlefield. We're then going to enhance those creatures with powerful enchantments or spells, all using the nature as our means for doing so. And it's really good at destroying like artifacts, enchantments, things that are not of the natural world. Some of the keywords that we see when we're playing green cards are trample, because we're playing a lot of big green creatures. We have a lot of reach effect, because they're big green creatures. We'll see like a lot of ramp spells to help us get lands out of our library onto the battlefield faster, so we can get up to casting those big spells quicker. We see lots of like fight and bite effects as well, so our creatures can fight other people's creatures not during the combat step. And so yeah, that's green, big green stompy stuff. One of the best colours in my opinion. So we now have a bit of an understanding of the colours of Magic, all 5 of them: white, blue, black, red, green, Wooburg, all in that order, always in that order. OCD much. So yeah, like we understand those colours now and what those colours represent, so we can start to look at commanders, legendary creatures, and go, right, okay, if I wanted to play a mono blue deck, it's going to be about drawing cards, tempo plays, and like countering spells, so I can get an evasive creature via flying onto the battlefield to be able to win me the game. So you can see how that is going to start to come together. Now, if you're looking at any of these colours, like when I first started playing Magic, I didn't want to touch black. Death, destruction, graveyard, destroy things, that was not for me. Didn't want it. Yeah, now I freaking love Esper. But you know, like I didn't want it when I first started, and I was all about that Selesnya, yeah, which is green and white, which is obviously all your little white creatures that work together to then put something big stompy down on the battlefield, and you work together in harmony, and then boom, you move forward. So yeah, you don't just have to pick one colour, you can pick 2 colours, 3 colours, 4 colours, and you can see what appeals to you, and then that will give you an idea of maybe what type of commander you want to play. So we're going to start looking now at archetypes, that stereotypical archetypes that you see within colour groups, and yeah, that will then help further advise you and for you to be able to pick on a commander that is right for you, that you are going to play for a long time and not regret building that deck for. So some different type of archetypes that you could run into when playing multiple colours are going to be as followed. This is not to say that you can't go outside of that. Like Mill is often very much a blue colour, but there is like ways you can do it in black and other ways you can get around these type of things. It's not always advised, and maybe that's better for later down the line when you're a more advanced player. But yeah, we can just we'll just go through this list, and if any of these type of effects sound good and interested you, then you'll once again have another idea of a colour pair which might help you, which will hopefully align with the colour identity that we've already gone through. So first off, white and blue. Azorius, we normally see like pillow fort effects, which is a bit like turtling if you've played RTSs or things like that. You build up your defences and then you attack when you're ready, and you try and deter your opponents from attacking you. We also have the use of control in Azorius. So we're going to use the blue counter spells and the draw spells to keep our hands full, keep doing things. And then we're going to use the white cards to try and set the rules of those engagements, which is what white likes to do. We've got then blue-black, which is Dimir, which can also be quite controlling, using lots of black spells to remove your creatures when on the battlefield, and then blue to restock your hand and control what comes down, things like that. They also have mill strategies and reanimator strategies of putting stuff in your own graveyard and bringing those back later. What else we got? We've got Rakdos, which is like aggro, so playing lots of low to the ground creatures, getting out there fast, not caring if they're dying, getting synergies from that. We also have like a little bit of chaos strategies with Rakdos as well, like stealing other people's cards, playing from the top of their libraries. There's a couple of new commanders that are really doing that really quite well now and really quite popular. We've got Red Green Gruul, which is all about ramping hard, playing big creatures, just stompy, Trample is like the big keyword that overlaps with those two colours, not cards. From there, we've got green and white, which is Selesnya, which is like tokens, potentially life gain style decks, which is also very similar to white and black Orzhov, but just goes about it in a very different way. So white and green might make lots of tokens, which then gain you life when making more stuff. White and black will want you to make lots of white things to then sacrifice them for you to get life. So there's a different way about going about doing things. So white and black is more like aristocrats, like life gain type stuff. And then there is like a sub theme of kind of like making tokens and stuff, because that's what you're going to use for your fodder to sacrifice to make yourself stronger. From there, we've got blue and red, which is it. So this is all spell slinging. Think of playing like low cost spells that are coming out thick and fast. So that's blue and red. So red is your impulse, your fast. I'm dealing damage, I'm lightning bolt your face, I'm burning you, and then I'm using blue spells to draw more cards and counter your big stuff that's coming down. So yeah, so that's like spell swinging. You're going to cast lots of little things and keep going through from there. There is quite a few combos and bits and bobs. I guess Niv Mizzet is quite known. He's one of the characters from the Izzet guild in Magic Lore. It's quite known for quite a few combos. Other things we've got is Golgari. So this is a bit similar to Dimir, but obviously we're using green instead of blue. So we're going to deal a lot with our graveyard. So we're using the natural order of the green world to make big things. Then when they die, we're going to get those back. So we're using that graveyard and that natural order to get things in and out of our graveyard and leverage an advantage via that. There'll also be some element of sacrificing, and then when things die, gain various benefits. We've then got red-white, which is Boros, which is your basic aggro strategy. So red's you got to go fast, got to hit hard. White's I've got to go wide, lots of creatures work together. So think of doing all that together and then just smashing in as quick as you can. And then equipment strategies, we often see that as well within Boros, which is red and white. So yeah, you might play like a couple of guys and play lots of equipment, and then go get those equipments on those guys to make those guys, small guys, bigger and stronger to be able to do more damage later in the game. And then lastly, we've got green and blue, which is Simic. And this is just where things get crazy, because it's just about ramping, getting loads of mana, getting loads of resources, and then just doing silly stuff. So when you mix green and blue together, you obviously get a lot of card draw and your count spells from your blue type of things and your tempo play and your bounce, but then you're putting all that knowledge and experience into the natural order things. So you get loads of weird creatures like Hydroid Crasis, which is a jellyfish hydra. You know, this is where we get our wizard lizards and stuff like that, and it's where you get more of your weird mutated stuff. So if you're into that type of thing, it can be great fun. And yeah, there's a lot of like +1/+1 counter synergies as well within Simic. So you can either go tall, like put lots of counters to make something on something really big and hard to deal with it, or you can like, so we know our color identities now, we know some of our archetypes. Where do we go? Well, we just pick something that looks cool. Like, I like the sound of green, I like the sound of white, I want to make loads of tokens, I want to have loads of stuff on the board and just run over my opponents. Sweet. Token synergy deck, where we're going to be using green and white, and then we're going to make loads of little dudes, and then we're going to use our big green stompy spells to make them massive and overrun our opponents. Overrun is one of the cards, by the way. And yeah, we could do that. That's, if that appeals to you, let's do that. Maybe you're a bit more like, oh, actually, no, I don't really like a lot of creatures. I just want to sling spells. I just want to like ping you for a damage here and then counter what you're playing and do that. And maybe in Izzet Spellslinger deck is what you want. So yeah, this is where it's over to you. The choices are yours now at this point. So we need some resources so you can go, oh, what are some actual cards that I want to play? So this is where we're going to look at things like Scryfall and EDHRX. So let's go and do that now. Okay, so I'm over here on EDHRX now, and this is where we need to be a little bit honest with ourselves. Like, do we want to build a strong competitive deck, or are you just building a fun, flavorful deck? And that is going to depend on the avenue in which we take this next level of search. So if we know we want a competitive deck, we are going to want to be on here, the top commanders of the past 2 years. I got to this page, by the way, by clicking on commanders, then clicking on top commanders, and it brought me to this page. The way EDHREC works is it scans and basically scalps the data and everything from Moxfield, Archetype, all the deck building websites out there, and compiles all that data together to display it for us so we can use that to help build better decks and see things like what commanders are really popular, not so popular, what's some really strong effects we can and can't do, stuff like that. So if you're wanting to build a really strong deck, you're probably going to want to be looking within the top 10 of these top commanders from the past 2 years. These are popular. There's a highly tuned. Atraxa is a really strong choice. Edgar Markov is a really strong vampires deck. You know, Dragon can do some silly things. Miriam Sentinel Worms just copy stuff. Like, these are some high-end popular decks, and if you play these, people know you come into your game store to play. Yeah? Now, if you're just wanting to build a fun, flavorful deck and you know the theme that you want after all the archetypes you've gone through, you can come on here and you can hit themes and you can search for the theme that you want. Mill, enchantments, infect, planeswalkers, vehicle decks, discard decks. And once you choose one, let's do an artifact deck. We click on it and it tells you all the different colour decks and how popular they are. Look, we've got Esper, we've got 15,000 Esper decks in an artifact theme. Mono white, there's 4,000. In blue, there's 14,000. So you can see, this is where you can start to see how colour identities are shifted heavily in one way or another because of the amount of decks that are available in those. Maybe you want a typal deck, which is a themed deck. You know, you want elves, you want dragons, you know, you want angels, slivers, cats, merfolk. Whatever you want, you can come on here and you can find, there we go, dinosaur deck. I want to build a mono white dinosaur deck. Boom, click on that and it'll show you all great mono white dinosaur decks. Like, that's a mono white dinosaur deck? Apparently somebody's built it that way. You know, there's Odric, like maybe he's the commander of all your dinosaurs, and then obviously there's Zatala, which is just a big dinosaur. Other things we can do, obviously, is we click on the commanders, we can choose mono blue commanders. Let's just have a look at all the mono blue commanders. Yeah. By the way, Memnock is mono blue because it has blue in its identity, because it has blue pips on the card. We could look at Orzhov if you want to do Orzhov, Taste of Karlov, surprise, surprise, number 1. So there we go. We can look. Maybe you want to do 5 colors. Let's look at 5 color commanders. So we can use this tool to go and find commanders within the colors that we want to play, or we can use it to find commanders within the archetypes and the types of decks that we want to play. Scryfall is another good tool we can use to start finding legendary creatures. So what I've simply done here is type in S for set, colon, and then OTJ, which is Outlaws of Thunder Junction. Each set has its own ID. And then I've put in type, I've typed legendary. So this is bringing up all the legendary permanents within Outlaws of Thunder Junction. And I've put color and I've put white. So this is all the white ones. Yeah. If we want to do, say, white and blue, we can put U next to it and it'll bring up all the white and blue ones. So we can now use this as another tool of saying, okay, I know I want to build a mono white deck or a white blue deck, and I want it to be from the latest set. You can now then search that latest set for those legendary creatures within those colorways and have a look at what those effects are. And if those effects appeal to you, then you can go ahead and start looking at building those decks. And yeah, it's just a really simple way of trying to narrow down some cards, because if you take away the set and you just start looking at legendary creatures in its entirety that are blue and white, you're going to get a lot. Also, by the way, because I've just put legendary, not legendary creatures in quote marks, it's bringing up all legendary permanents. So we'll probably see like planeswalkers and legendary enchantments in here. Yeah. So yeah, that is a lot of cards to go through. Does it take 266 cards that are legendary and have white and blue in them? I mean, if you want to sit through and go through them all, you do you. But I'd like to narrow my search down a little bit more if that was me, which is why I did it by set. So yeah, sets are also like a good indicator of themes and things that you can do. If you like your Greek mythology, then you want to probably look at your Theros set. If you like cowboys, then Outlaws of Thunder Junction is you. You want to do detectives, then that's Murder the Karlov Manor. So that's another way you can try and hone in on what you may or may want for your commander deck. So there we go. That's Scryfall and how we can use Scryfall to hone in our search. So now we're at the point where we just need to make that crucial decision. We've identified what colours we like, what archetypes we like, and we've even had a look through a couple of websites to identify some commanders that might be appealing to us. So now we just need to figure out which ones do appeal to us and just put them in a top 5 list in our heads and go, actually, out of all these 5, I want to pick that one. Yeah, and that's up to you guys. Maybe you've already got a couple of decks, but you don't have, like, say, a Jeskai deck or a Golgari deck, so you want to build one of those that helps you navigate down that path and sift out a lot of colours and a lot of stuff, so you know to go in and look for a Golgari commander or a Jeskai commander. Maybe you're completely new to the game and you're just like, I just want to have loads of merfolk all running and screaming together. So that's it. Go look at merfolk decks. So yeah, you're just at that point now where you just need to sift through some cards, have a look. If you've got a local game store that you're going to quite regularly and you've got lots of the people that play with you, sit down and maybe see if you can get somebody to lend you their deck. And when I say that, I don't mean like, hey, can I borrow your deck and then come back 2 weeks later? Thanks for that. You can have it back. More of a, do you mind if I play a game? I see you've got a Merfolk deck. I'd like to try Merfolk one day. Can I try playing with your deck? And then maybe they'll lend it to you and you can sit and play with them. Don't then take it and then go and play with some other guys on the other side of the game store, because you're going to give somebody an anxious panic attack because their expensive deck, maybe it's the other side of the store and they don't know what's happening. So yeah, so it's another way you can get into playing more decks outside of what you normally experience. So yeah, so that's it. So over to you guys now. Pick a commander. I promise you won't regret it. Commander is a great format. It's slightly broken in its entirety because of how you can play so many different things, and the social etiquettes of the rules allow you to do some silly stuff. So yeah, if you like to play quite bonkers games and do stuff that's not quite in the realms of 1v1, then yeah, Commander, you'll love it. Pick your first Commander, and then yeah, just go for it. Have a blast. And thank you for watching. I hope this video has really helped. If you're still stumped, drop me a comment, drop me a message. I will do my best to reply to everybody. And yeah, I will see you all in the next video. Oh, by the way, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Cheers.